Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And today we are on the fourth episode of the coffee stream. And my oh my, do we have lots to cover today with tons of articles that will make you annoyed. Or sorry, there's not much good news today, but there's a lot of bullshit going on. First off, I want to let you guys know that I tried clicking on the links I have set up in the description, and they're not working for me. So I'm not sure if that's because of my screen reader or if that's because I typed the links out wrong. So if you guys could do me a favor and just click on them and see if they actually work, that would be very helpful. And if they don't work, let me know, and I'll fix them in the description, and I'll put them in chat as well. What was I gonna say now? Oh yes, and for we've also started doing something with uploaded videos, and that is we're putting patrons, like a list of patrons um, in the video. I think it's in the description. I can't remember where we're putting them, but you're in the credits, which is something that it's pretty cool. So, um, let's see here. Let's get Twitter open. Get the news articles ready. Take a sip of my coffee. Ah, coffee. Sorry for the dead air, guys. I'm just trying to get everything going. All right. All right. Got the first story pulled up here. Ah, that's not what I wanted to do. Come on. Oh, good, Zachlon B. Links are working for you. Awesome. Glad to hear. So it was just my screen reader being stupid. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. And I know that sounds really weird, but it's good that that's the problem and that I didn't screw it up. So let's find the headline. Oh my God, there's a countdown to cannabis. How Canadian. Fuck me. So this story is about the legalization of cannabis. It's on the Star. And when I go to try and find the headline for this article before I unplug my headphones, there is a thing that says countdown to cannabis. Fuck's sake. All right.
The navigation.
Here we go. First news story of the day.
Heading level 1. Canadians who smoke marijuana legally or work or invest in the industry will be barred from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection official.
So, Canadians who smoke marijuana or work in the industry will be barred from the U.S. according to the U.S. Border Patrol.
By link Daniel Washington Bureau Chief. Thursday, September 13th, 2018. Link share on Facebook.
So this is from the
Thursday,
13th, so it's a bit old.
Link share on Twitter. Link
but it's worth
link
talking
share,
about, I
link
think.
share with link more share options. Washington. Canadians will be barred from entering the United States for smoking marijuana legally, for working in Canada's legal marijuana industry, and for investing in legal Canadian marijuana companies. A senior U.S. Customs and Border Protection official says.
So they're saying that anyone who is legally smoking weed, working in the weed industry, or trading or investing in weed companies will be barred from the U.S.
Chadoin, who? Link spoke to the U.S. website Politico. Said the U.S. does not plan to change its border policies to account for Canada's marijuana legalization, which link takes effect on October 17. Period. Canadian perspective. If you like smoking the occasional spliff, keep it under your hat when talking to U.S. border agents. They regard this as an illegal act, even though marijuana will soon be legal in Canada and is already in some U.S. states. Glenn Russell /AP file photo figure. You are current.
So, yeah, they're saying that they're not going to change the position, or their border position. Oh, hi, opinionated Scotsman. Yeah, so they're not going to change their border position or their position on it, even though it's legal in Canada, which that's fine. I'm not expecting a different country to change their laws because we did it, but doesn't that kind of not make any sense? Like, obviously, keep it where. Well, let's finish the story and then we'll talk about it.
Canadian perspective. If you like Canadian perspective, Canadian perspective, third party ad content. Owen's comments. We don't recognize that as a legal business, said Owen, Executive Assistant Commissioner for the Office of Field Operations. You are currently on a text. We don't recognize that Owen's comments corroborated anecdotal reports that have accumulated over the course of the year. Canadians with links to the nascent legal industry, including venture capitalist Sam's name Moran. Link, the chief executive of the BC Agricultural Machinery Company. You are current have already been given lifetime entry bans. You are current
lifetime entry bans. Just because they're investors in the weed industry in Canada. Wow.
Owen said border officers will not begin asking every Canadian about their marijuana use. He said, however, that officers might ask if other questions led there, or if there is a smell coming from the car, or if a dog detects marijuana residue. You are currently on a text element. Owen did not specify how much equity a Canadian has to hold in a cannabis company to be denied entry. Scott Bernstein, senior policy analyst at the Canadian Drug Policy Coalition, said he is troubled by the lack of clarity. You are currently on a text. Read more. Link. Americans are expected to flock to Canada when heading level 4. Link. Image. Forwarded by heading level 4. You might be interested in.
Okay, so
link.
On
FS link. Thousands of Canadians have shares in cannabis companies, which are link publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Period. Link publicly traded on the link publicly traded period. They're investing in a completely legal industry in Canada, but it happens to be the cannabis industry. That person who owns a mutual fund and maybe doesn't even know where their money is going. Are they going to be covered as well? Bernstein said.
Exactly.
who also expressed concern about U.S. profiling of people stereotyped as likely marijuana users, said the Canadian government should negotiate with the U.S. at least to secure entry for workers and investors. You are currently on a tech, but Prime Minister Justin Trudeau link said Tuesday that he does not think he has the right to press the U.S. on its admission policy. You are currently on a tech.
Oh, really? You don't think you have the right to press the U.S. on their admission policy, except for when it's got to do with Syrian refugees? Then you're all over him, all over Trump. All over Trump saying, oh, you need to let more refugees in and you're not doing enough and you're being racist and Islamophobic and xenophobic. But when it comes to your own citizens who won't even be breaking your laws and who most likely won't be traveling with their marijuana, because most people aren't dumb enough to do that because they know that it's still federally illegal in the states. But there are still quite enough states to go and buy recreational pot in the first place. So basically, when it comes to people who aren't even your fucking citizens, you're gonna get all high and mighty about it with Trump about how he's not doing enough. But when your own citizens may be banned from your biggest trading partner and your biggest ally, you're just gonna be like, oh, whatever. I don't think I have the right to do anything. Hello, Jesse. That's just fucking stupid. What a fucking pussy. Holy crap. Again, you won't even stand up for your own fucking citizens who voted for you. Why? Oh, wait, because scarily enough, he was the least of the evils that were available to us last time. I know that's terrifying, but there you go.
Every country has the right to judge who gets to come into their borders or not. I wouldn't presume to have any other country tell me how or who we can let into Canada, and I certainly won't work to assume or impress upon the US who they have to let in or not, Trudeau told a CBC radio station in Manitoba.
You
are currently on a text element.
Fucking liar! You spent the whole time when everyone was taking in Syrian refugees, and Trump was like, no, I'm not doing that. And he was like, oh, you're a terrible person. Canada just disavows your decision. But, yeah, Trudeau loves virtue signal. Yes. You fucking liar. Holy shit.
But there is no question that we are working with U.S. officials. They have legalized marijuana in a number of their states, and we're trying to make sure that travel between our two countries is not disrupted. You are currently on...
I'm sure you're working to make sure that travel between the two countries is not disrupted. I don't know how, considering you're just going to roll over and show Trump your belly like the dog that you are. But hey, that's fine. Whatever.
While 9 states and Washington, D.C. now allow the recreational use of marijuana, the U.S. federal government continues to consider it illegal. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has sought, you are currently on link, to crack down on the drug. Period. An admission of any past drug use is grounds for a lifetime ban from the U.S., although some banned people can successfully apply for waivers. Travelers can refuse to answer a U.S. officer's questions. Their silence may be used to deny them entry that day, but they can avoid a lifetime ban. You are currently on it. So yeah, you can refuse to answer the questions, and it may prevent you from going in that day, but it won't give you a lifetime ban. But what if you need to go in there for work? What if you need to, like, what if you're not given a chance or a choice, because either you go in there and go make money to feed your family, or you admit to smoking a goddamn plant and possibly be banned for life, and then have to go back and explain to your job, oh, well, I had a joint, or I smoked a joint the other day and the dog smelled it on me residually, or I have investments in pot companies and I've been barred from the US because of it. Sorry, job. I can't work there, or can't go to the States anymore. Oh, look, I've lost my job because I can't travel for my job anymore. Holy fuck. Yeah, he is a puppet, Jesse. You're so right. Like, but wow, way to fucking not stand up for your citizens there, Trudeau. Thanks. One more year. One more year. One more year. Wow. That makes me angry. All right. Now, this next story is another Canadian one. And this has to do with my province. Let's see here. Okay, so this story is about what's going on in my own province with our premier, which is like a governor for my American friends.
And he has decided that he wants to cut. The story will tell you. I've read it. It tells you what this is about, and I will explain more of it after we read and give you my opinion. So this story is "We Will Never Ever Back Down." Ontario's Ford declares at midnight session to slash Toronto City Council.
80% loaded. Main. 90% link. Victoria, 90% Toronto. Published September 17. Updated 3 hours ago. Hundreds of spectators and protesters chanted and pounded on the walls of the Ontario legislature early Monday as MPPs debated a hotly contested bill to slash the size of Toronto City Council.
So Doug Ford proposed cutting the Toronto City Council in half. And just the Toronto City Council. So basically he wants there to be 25 seats instead of 50, I think. We'll see what it says.
Security and police blockaded the door at the front of the building as the protesters demanded access. The protests could be heard through the walls for hours after the midnight session began, including shouts of "Whose house? Our house. You are currently on it." By around 4 a.m. ET, New Democratic Party leader Andrea Horwath had left the room, and Premier Doug Ford was no longer in his seat. Mr. Ford later returned to his seat, speaking to the session just after 6 a.m. "We will never, ever back down," Mr. Ford said. "Last week, I told the people of Ontario that our government will do whatever it takes to get this legislation passed as quickly as possible." The deep green pews of the public galleries were empty for most of the morning. Waves of protesters had been escorted out by security before the entire group was asked to leave less than 2 hours into the debate. The first to be taken out of the House was former MPP Cherry DeNovo, who was sitting in the visitors' gallery. "You can stand on principle," she urged Conservative representatives. "It's a sad, sad day." Last Monday, an Ontario Superior Court judge ruled that Mr. Ford's first bill to cut council, Bill 5, violated the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In response, Mr. Ford said he'd invoke the Charter's notwithstanding clause for the first time in Ontario history to override the judge. Bill 31 had its first reading last week, and the sitting Monday has carried on into the waking hours. You are currently on a tech.
So the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is like the Bill of Rights for Canada. And so it does, what he wants to do does violate that because he's cutting the number of seats that can be voted on, right? So what he's trying to do is he's trying to set it up so that, because the Toronto mayoral elections are Trudeau will also kowtow to SJWs. You're correct, Jesse. So what Doug Ford is trying to do right before the mayoral elections is rig the council seats so that there's not as many people to vote on who becomes mayor and who becomes on the city council. So what he's trying to do is use his position as premier of the province to gerrymander just the city of Toronto, because Toronto is a huge part of Ontario's population. So when it comes to another election, hi, Costin, how are you? When it comes to provincial elections,
90%
the
loaded.
right mayor will be in charge because the Toronto elections were gerrymandered. This is what Ford's trying to do. And he's trying to use the Charter's notwithstanding clause to get around the judge's decision, which is wrong. There are a few things that Doug Ford has done that I agree with, like taking the sale of marijuana out of the LCBO's control, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, and saying that it would be it would be able to be privatized. I agree with that. Unfortunately, what he's doing with this is not at all okay, and it's not it is absolutely, I believe it is gerrymandering. I could be wrong on the term, but this is really not a good thing for him to be. This is not a hill to die on at all. This is a bad move.
Net choices. Clickable. Link. Heading level 1. We will never, ever back down. Main. Link. Victoria Gibson.
Really?
The deep green pews of the public gallery. Last Monday, an Ontario Superior Court. "We need to get the engine moving," Mr. Ford told reporters before the session began. He invoked the causes of transit, infrastructure, and housing within the city as motivators, evading a separate question about how much the midnight sitting cost taxpayers. Deputy Premier Christine Elliott said the bill wasn't an attack on the judiciary. It's simply an assertion that it's the elected representatives that make the law in this land. You are currently on.
Yes, but you're trying to minimize the number of elected representatives so that you can keep your seat, because the more elected representatives there are, the more chance of there being liberal elected representatives, which means the more chance of you losing the election next time. Or NDP elected representatives, or like that is, I don't like that at all.
Story continues below. Advertise FSK. Many opposition members have characterized the move as part of a personal vendetta by Mr. Ford, who was once a Toronto city councillor and mayoral candidate. You are currently.
Yes. I agree. I don't generally agree with our politicians right now, but yeah, Pancalo, you're right. He's trying to redraw the city lines, and he wants to make it so that the budget is cut. They have been going at it since midnight, and they've been trying to rush it through. Yeah, John Tory, the mayor, is like, yeah, fuck it, let's just get this done, because at least it's not Bill 5.
There is nothing righteous going on here tonight. Toronto Centre MP Suze Morrison declared. Ms. Horwath told reporters that there was only one way for this madness to stop. That is for the government to withdraw the bill. You are currently on.
I don't think that's going to happen, Andrea Horwath. Andrea Horwath is the leader of the New Democratic Party in Ontario, because in Canada, provincial, well, at least in Ontario, we have three parties, as well as federally, we have three main parties to vote for. The Liberals, the New Democrats, and the Progressive Conservative, or Conservative, whatever you want to call them. If you want to count the Green Party, I guess you could. They have a couple of seats in the Parliament. So yeah, that's.
The government needs 6-1/2 hours of debate on Bill 31 to hold a vote on the second reading, a point they're expected to hit by early Monday. From there, their plan is to invoke a time allocation, said Government House Leader Todd Smith, then hold a vote on Thursday to pass the bill by the end of the day.
So they need 6.5 hours of discussion time on this bill. So basically, it seems like they're forcing people to have a sit-in, and basically do it's like he's basically forcing the time and forcing the discussion.
The unconventional nighttime sitting had been called under a severe time crunch, with Toronto City Clerk warning that she's reaching a tipping point over whether she can properly administer the municipal vote on October 22nd.
Oh, that's not good. The city clerk is like, I don't know if I can do this. That's not good. Progressive conservative, that's an oxymoron. Yeah, it kind of is.
Conservative MPPs argued during the sitting that Conservative MPPs argued during the sitting that the chairing of council is essential to expedite decisions on services like transportation, as well as addressing the council's dysfunctional operations, while opposing MPPs largely argued that the move was undemocratic and a worrying precedent. You are currently.
It is undemocratic and a worrying precedent. You're not in charge of the city of Toronto. You're in charge of the province of Ontario. Sorry, Dougie boy, but it's time for you to look a little wider than the city of Toronto. You're no longer the mayor, just a mayor candidate. You're the fucking premier. You got more responsibilities than Toronto. Sorry. I know you don't like to hear that. Yeah, thanks, WR. I like your theory. There's been no. Oh, the notwithstanding clause does need to go. Absolutely. The last time it was used was federally, and Stephen Harper, our previous prime minister, tried to use it on I think it was the same-sex marriage, and he wasn't even able to do that because he got a vote of no confidence at that point. So the fact that Doug Ford wants to to use the notwithstanding clause on this and make it the first time Ontario has ever used it. Oh no, it wasn't Stephen Harper that used the notwithstanding clause for same-sex marriage. It was Ralph Klein, the Alberta premier. That's who it was. He invoked the notwithstanding clause because the Supreme Court of Canada voted unanimously that same-sex marriage should be held up under the charter. So federally, it absolutely should be a legal thing. And Ralph Klein was like, well, fuck that. I'm going to use the notwithstanding clause and invoke it on a religious grounds. And that didn't work. Like, in Alberta, of all places, that didn't even work. Yeah, Pincalo. They did used to be called the Conservative Reform Alliance Party. Crap. That was the acronym for their party. Was crap. Crap, crap, crap. That always makes me laugh. If I wouldn't get copyright struck, I I would play the there's a few skits from a couple of Canadian television shows, but I'll get copyright struck. So unfortunately, I cannot share those funny skits with you. But
when the protests hit a particularly audible point, Kitchener Centre MPP Laura Mailindo asked for a pause inside the legislature for, 2 seconds, to listen to them. In response, Conservative members began to clap. At one point, when Ms. Horwath called the PC member seals, the Tories called a point of order and argued the NDP leader's words were insulting.
Why would you call... Okay, this is why I don't like Andrea Horwath. She's a fucking moron. You guys, you are, for once, the Liberals and the fucking New Democrats are correct in being upset about something, and then they're gonna turn around and call the fucking Conservative MPPs a bunch of seals while they're clapping? You're gonna basically, they're going to, what's it called? Oh, don't forget Quebec and their language laws. They were passed under the notwithstanding clause. That's correct, WR. I completely forgot about that. The French comes first on the signs and all that. And the Quebec, instead of following the Criminal Code of Canada, they follow they have their own criminal code. They follow the Napoleonic law, the Napoleonic Code. Yeah, I forgot about that. But it's ridiculous. Like, this is, wow. You're gonna sink to their playfield when you've actually got something that on them. This is why I can't stand the Liberals and the New Democrats right now, because they do that shit. They have the right to be upset and to try and stop this, and then they're like, you're a bunch of seals because you're clapping. You, like, why are you gonna fucking throw insults that don't even make sense?
Some protests in the dark were quieter than others, amid the discordant shouts outside, too low to be illuminated by camera lights. 71-year-old Penny Betson sat in fold-out chair near the foot of security officers. She and her friend billed themselves the Toronto Raging Grannies, and they'd come to witness the midnight sitting. Since they couldn't go inside, they planned to sit there in the corner all night. 2. Next story. The war for Toronto.
The Toronto Raging Grannies. Oh dear. Oh dear. Quebec should just learn English. The criminal code is the same all over Canada. It's the civil laws that are different. That's true. I misspoke. But the Quebec laws are not, for their civil code. They follow the Napoleonic Code. They don't follow British common law like the rest of us. Because fuck the British. So that's that story about Doug Ford royally fucking things up. Because reasons. Oh, sakes. What a ridiculous thing to use the notwithstanding clause for. And he doesn't even bother to look up the history of it, because anytime, like in my lifetime, when a provincial leader has tried to use it, there's no, they haven't won. They haven't done it. So why? Why bother? So now we're gonna go move on. Let's see what chat has to say. Yeah, WR, the CBC has its own bias. They show preferential coverage to people who send money their way. I totally believe that. That's why I'm very, like, I try to find articles from different sources, not just the CBC. So this one, California professor who accused Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault goes public. Here we go.
Heading level 2. Christine Blasey Ford claims that one summer in the early 1980s, a drunk Kavanaugh and a friend corralled her into a bedroom at a house in Montgomery County. YouTube video player. Frame. Link. Washington Post. Emma Brown.
There's a video, but we're not going to play it.
September 16. 5:50. Filed under. List 2 link. Right at link. End of list. Link. Comment. Link. Face. Link. 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 Recommended for you. Link. Andrew Coyne.
I just want the story.
Link.
Now,
earlier this summer, Christine Blasey Ford wrote a confidential letter to a senior Democratic lawmaker alleging that Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her more than 3 decades ago, when they were high school students in suburban Maryland. Since Wednesday, she has watched as that bare-bones version of her story became public without her name or her consent, drawing a blanket denial from Kavanaugh and roiling a nomination that just days ago seemed all but certain to succeed. You are currently on.
Why did you send a confidential letter to a Democratic senator 3 decades after it supposedly happened? And why would you send a letter to her if you wanted it to be confidential? Why? You obviously wanted her to. This makes no sense to me already. Why would you tell somebody involved in his appointment on the other side of the fence, trying to get his appointment stopped, and then expect the letter to be confidential, and then
Now, Ford has decided that if her story is going to be told, she wants to be the one to tell it. You are currently on a text element inside of web content. To exit this area, press Control Option.
If you didn't want your story to be told, why did you write a fucking letter to the fucking senator? Oh my god. Oh my god, wow. This is why I don't believe this story. Because of the inconsistencies.
Speaking publicly for the first time, Ford said that one summer in the early 1980s, Kavanaugh and a friend, both stumbling drunk, Ford alleges, corralled her into a bedroom during a gathering of teenagers at a house in Montgomery County. While his friend watched, she said, Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed on her back and roped her over her clothes, grinding his body against hers and clumsily attempting to pull off her one-piece bathing suit and the clothing she wore over it. When she tried to scream, she said, he put his hand over her mouth. I thought he might inadvertently kill me, said Ford, now a 51-year-old research psychologist in Northern California. He was trying to attack me and remove my clothing. You are currently on a text element inside of web content.
Was he trying to attack you and remove your clothing, or did you think he was going to inadvertently kill you? Because a teenager grinding you and grabbing, like, if this happened, grinding over your clothes is not, and putting a hand over your mouth is not going to kill, like, pick one. Was he trying to rape you, or was he going to inadvertently kill you? Like, did he have his hands around your neck? Did he, like, Was you covering your nose and your mouth? Like,
Ford said she was able to escape when Kavanaugh's friend and classmate at Georgetown Preparatory School, Mark Judge, jumped on top of them, sending all three tumbling. She said she ran from the room, briefly locked herself in a bathroom, and then fled the house. You are currently on a text element inside of web content. To exit this.
okay, I'm trying to image this. I'm trying to image Extidote. Yeah, file this under shit that never happened. Yep. Because of hashtag Me Too points. Yes, exactly. I'm trying to imagine this scenario. You've got two teenagers on a bed, and one of them is dry humping the other one. And somehow, when you're like, where he would have to be, in order to send them tumbling, they would both have to be sitting up. And one straddling the other one. And then that would hurt, like another teenager jumping on top of you like that and sending you guys falling. That's gonna hurt you more than what happened, than what you're saying is happening. And you're probably gonna, at the very least, twist something. And then after you've fallen in a heap of bodies, somehow you're still gonna extricate yourself. And first, let's see here.
Related stories. Ford said she was able to link. He was semicolon. He was trying to attack me and remove my clothing. Semicolon. Link. Shared link. Tweet. Ford notes from an individual. Ford said she told no one of the incident in any detail until 2012, when she was in couples therapy with her husband. The therapist's notes, portions of which were provided by Ford and reviewed by the Washington Post, do not mention Kavanaugh's name but say she reported that she was attacked by students from an elitist boys' school who went on to become highly respected and high-ranking members of society in Washington. The notes say 4 boys were involved. A discrepancy Ford says was an error on the therapist's part. Ford said there were 4 boys at the party but only 2 in the room. You are currently on a text. Notes from an individual therapy session the following year, when she was being treated for what she says have been long-term effects of the incident. Show Ford described a rape attempt in her late teens. In an interview, her husband, Russell Ford, said that in the 2012 sessions, she recounted being trapped in a room with 2 drunken boys, one of whom pinned her to a bed, molested her and prevented her from screaming. He said he recalled that his wife used Kavanaugh's last name and voiced concern that Kavanaugh, then a federal judge, might one day be nominated to the Supreme Court. You are currently...
Oh, bullshit. That's what you... What? For those of you who don't know what I just did, I just put my hands to my head and did the head explodey. You thought back in 2012, when Obama was president, that Brett Kavanaugh would one day be appointed to the Supreme Court. Hi, Skep. What you... This was a concern of yours in a therapy session fucking 6 years ago? What? What? What the fuck? How stupid do these people think the rest of the population is? Seriously.
In this file photo taken on September 5th, 2018, U.S. Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh speaks on the second day of his confirmation hearing in front of the Senate in Washington, D.C. Saul/AFP/Getty 091. In this file photo, Saul/Enda. In this file, on Sunday, the White House sent the Post a statement Kavanaugh issued last week, when the outlines of Ford's account first became public. I categorically and unequivocally deny this allegation. I did not do this back in high school or at any time. You are, through a White House spokesman. Kavanaugh declined to comment further on Ford's allegation and did not respond to questions about whether he knew her during high school. The White House had no additional comment. A Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee overseeing Kavanaugh's confirmation, Lindsey Graham, says he's willing to hear Ford's side of the matter. You are current.
Because I'm pretty sure he knows that they could bust holes in it wide the fuck open. And you know what? It makes the Republican Party look really good for them to say, yeah, sure, we'll hear him. Like, that makes the Republicans look really... Try not to make the neighbors call the police, please. All right, then. Maybe I'm getting too annoyed. Um, yeah, like this, the reason Lindsey Graham is saying, yeah, we'll hear her, is because it is obvious how full of bullshit she is. And they know they can bust the story wide open.
The South Carolina senator says if the panel is going to hear from Ford, it should be done immediately so the confirmation process can continue as scheduled.
Yes.
You are currently on a committee vote is scheduled for Thursday, but several key Democrats have said it should now be postponed.
Of course they are, because they know that this is getting even they're going, I don't think this can be believed. This is just wow.
Graham says he would gladly listen to what she has to say and compare it against all the other information the committee has considered about Kavanaugh.
Yeah, see? Exactly. He's like, yeah, you know what? Let's hear her. Let's hear the story. And does that sound like and Brett Kavanaugh's not saying, oh, Lindsay, don't say that. Like, they are acting, and I don't I'm not necessarily if I was in the States, I don't know if I would be a Republican or a Democrat. I'd probably be an independent voter. But anyway, it was a joke. I can hear you screaming outside the door. I don't, they're making themselves look pretty damn good right now. By saying, by all means, let's hear what she has to say.
Reached by email Sunday. Judge declined to comment. In an interview Friday with the Weekly Standard, before Ford's name was known, he denied that any such incident occurred. It's just absolutely nuts. I never saw Brett act that way, Judge said. He told the New York Times that Kavanaugh was a brilliant student who loved sports and was not into anything crazy or illegal. Christine Ford is a professor at Palo Alto University who teaches in a consortium with Stanford University, training graduate students in clinical psychology. Her work has been widely published in academic journals.
Oh, so she trains people in clinical psychology, and she decides to try this crap on. Imagine my shock. Hey, Churchy. Wow, this is. I've got my own. I'm gonna tell you my thoughts after this story's done, because yeah.
She contacted the Post through a tip line in early July, when it had become clear that Kavanaugh was on the short list of possible nominees to replace retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy, but before Trump announced his name publicly. A registered Democrat who has made small contributions to political organizations. She contacted her Congresswoman, Democrat Anna G. Eshoo, around the same time. In late July, she sent a letter via Eshoo's office to Senator Dianne Feinstein of California, the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee. In the letter, which was read to the Post, Ford described the incident and said she expected her story to be kept confidential. She signed the letter as Christine Blassie, the name she uses professionally. You are currently on a text. The Senate Judiciary Committee holds a markup meeting on Capitol Hill, Thursday, September.
Wait. Okay. Why would you send a letter to the senators, like, in charge of the Judiciary Committee and expect it to remain private? And don't you think that people, even if you use your professional name, don't you think people would be able to find that? Wow.
Supreme_Court_Kavanaugh. The Senate Judiciary Committee holds a markup meeting on Capitol Hill. Thursday, the Senate Judiciary for weeks. Ford declined to speak to the Post on the record as she grappled with concerns about what going public would mean for her and her family, and what she said was her duty as a citizen to tell the story. You are currently. She engaged Deborah Katz, a Washington lawyer known for her work on sexual harassment cases, on the advice of Katz, who believed Ford would be attacked as a liar if she came forward. Ford took a polygraph test administered by a former FBI agent in early August. The results, which Katz provided to the Post, concluded that Ford was being truthful when she said a statement summarizing her allegations was accurate. You are currently on.
Okay, but I don't know. I really don't know.
By late August, Ford had decided not to come forward, calculating that doing so would upend her life and probably would not affect Kavanaugh's confirmation. Why suffer through the annihilation if it's not going to matter, she said. Her story leaked anyway. On Wednesday, The Intercept reported that Feinstein had a letter describing an incident involving Kavanaugh and the woman while they were in high school, and that Feinstein was refusing to share it with her Democratic colleagues. You are currently on a text. See also. Link. The FBI received a version of the letter with Ford's name redacted, according to a Republican official with knowledge of the letter, and then sent it to the White House to be included in Kavanaugh's background file. The White House sent it to the Senate Judiciary Committee, making it available to all senators. As pressure grew, the New York Times reported that the incident involved possible sexual misconduct. And Ford had begun to fear she would be exposed, particularly after a BuzzFeed reporter visited her at her home and tried to speak to her as she was leaving a classroom where she teaches graduate students. Another reporter called her colleagues to ask about her. You are currently on a now I feel like my civic responsibility is outweighing my anguish and terror about retaliation. Semicolon. You are link. Sharer.ph link. On Friday, the New Yorker reported the letter's contents but did not reveal Ford's identity. Soon after, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Charles Grassley, Iowa, released a letter from 65 women who say they knew Kavanaugh when he attended high school from 1979 to 1983 at Georgetown Prep, an all-boys school in North Bethesda. Through the more than 35 years we have known him, Brett has stood out for his friendship, character, and integrity, the women wrote. In particular, he has always treated women with decency and respect. That was true when he was in high school, and it has remained true to this day. As the story snowballed, Ford said, she heard people repeating inaccuracies about her and, with the visits from reporters, felt her privacy being chipped away. Her calculation changed. You are currently on a text element. Inside.
Then why did you send a letter to the fucking... You know how shit leaks out. Yeah, private polygraph. How convenient. Exactly, Scott. Exactly. Why would you... Again, I keep asking, why would you write a letter to the Judiciary Committee? It's going to be like, oh.
These are all deals that I was trying to avoid, she said, explaining her decision to come forward. Now I feel like my civic responsibility is outweighing my anguish and terror about retaliation. Kat said she believes Feinstein honored Ford's request to keep her allegation confidential, but regrettably others did not. Victims must have the right to decide whether to come forward, especially in a political environment that is as ruthless as this one. Kat said she will now face vicious attacks by those who support this nominee.
Then why did you write a letter? You did come forward. If this did happen, you did come forward. You wrote a letter and then you backpedaled and said, but don't tell anyone. That is the equivalent of a friend saying, you know, oh, I got raped, and then saying, oh, but don't say anything. That stories like this make me very angry for a reason. Yeah, she wanted to ruin him, and it backfired on her. Exactly, Scotsman. But stories like this make me very angry for a very personal reason, and I'm going to tell you why. When I was 11, I was raped by a classmate. It took me a month to tell my friend, but my friend did not just go, okay, I won't tell anyone. She goes, no, if you don't tell your mom, I will tell your mom, because that's not cool and you need to go to the police. So I told my mom and I went to the police. Of course, nothing happened because it was a he said, she said. And like it was two kids, but he was moved from my class, and like the school did everything they could to keep him away from me. He did have to go into the police for questioning. Unfortunately, because it was a he said, she said thing, and it was a month after the fact, we couldn't prove anything. But there was a record. There was a police report. And this woman didn't do any of those things. This woman kept it quiet for decades. This woman is saying that she told her husband and a couples therapist in 2012 and said that she's telling them now because she's afraid that because Kavanaugh's a federal judge, that he'll become a Supreme Court justice. That doesn't make sense. And then You wait another 6 years to write that stupid letter. Ha, exactly. You have a right to confront your confuser or your accuser. Um, accusations can be made. Otherwise, accusations can be made up by anything about anything. Exactly. Got a license for this stream. See, that's awesome. I still don't need licenses for my streams. um, but it's just very frustrating when I keep hearing stories of women who don't who just want to confront their accusers without confronting their accusers or actually doing anything or waiting till way past the statute of limitations and then getting upset that nothing can be done. Yeah, she wasn't afraid when he was up for the federal judgeship for the court he's on currently. Exactly, Scout. Exactly. um, it's it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous for her to attempt to pull this crap. Um, I just Yes, her concerns sound selective and opportunistic. Exactly. Exactly, Scout. They really do. They sound and she's it even says that she's a registered donator to the Democratic Party. So what are her motives for this? Why is this why is this something that's happening? Okay. Um this is yeah, it's okay, so Aries. There's a psychology professor in California who is accusing the nominee to the Supreme Court of sexual assault back in high school 35 years ago. And she wrote this in a letter to the Judiciary Committee in July. And this and the apparently she mentioned it in 2012 in a couples therapy session is the only mention of this situation. Perhaps her motives are political, maybe Skeptok. So yeah, that's what's going on with that, Aries. It's very it's very fishy. Um, the way that she's gone about this. Um, so yeah, it's I don't get it. It's got to be politically motivated. Yeah, only when the timing is good. Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right, guys, I was just checking the Streamlabs because I don't have Streamlabs OBS, so I have to just go and type in I actually have to go and pull up the web page. Um, if you do donate to Streamlabs and I don't see it, I do apologize. The notifications do take some time to come through. Um, but please be sure to know that if you do donate and it comes in after the stream is over, I will be mentioning you on the next stream because I do appreciate it. Um, so I've got an interesting. Yeah, I put my money on politically motivated. Yeah, ARAC. Um, Right, withholding information until it's politically expedient is wrong, just like the hashtag #MeToo movement. Exactly, Churchy, exactly. So here we go. Here's our next story.
Coca-Cola is eyeing the cannabis market. Image.
Coca-Cola is eyeing the cannabis market.
Employees inspect cannabis plants at the CanTrust Holdings Inc., Niagara Perpetual Harvest Facility in Pelham, Ontario, Canada, on Wednesday, July 11, 2018. Canadian pot stocks have had a wild ride in the past year, with the BI Canada Cannabis Competitive Peers Index surging about 250% from October to December as the road to legalization became clearer in Canada, before dropping by about 36% this year. Photographer, Cole Burston/Bloomberg Group. Employees inspect cannabis plants at the CanTrust. Employee more button. Aurora Cannabis Inc. led pot stocks higher after Coca-Cola Company said it's eyeing the cannabis drinks market, becoming the latest beverage company to tap into surging demand for marijuana products as traditional sales slow.
So Coca-Cola is in Canada looking at our holdings and our cannabis products because they want to, I guess, make Coke with weed in it. Leave my weed alone. Yeah, exactly. I think they're gonna do CBD Coca-Cola, Scap. Um, let's see.
Coca-Cola says it's monitoring the nascent industry and is interested in drinks infused with CBD, the non-psychoactive ingredient in marijuana that treats pain but doesn't get you high. The Atlanta-based soft drinks maker is in talks with Canadian marijuana producer Aurora Cannabis to develop the beverages, according to a link report. BNN. U Black from BNN Bloomberg Television. Bloomberg.com. You are currently on.
So they want to look into putting CBD in their Coke. I guess that would I I don't know. I don't think I would buy Coke with CBD in it because knowing them, they would probably do something to mess up with. Yeah, I know. It's no fun. Yeah, I know. And the speed of that voice, I was looking into how to slow it down. I can't find the frickin' toggle, and I feel like a dum dum because I know it's probably something stupid easy, and I can't find that stupid thing. Like I cannot find the correct um, toggle to slow down the voice, and it's very aggravating because I know it's hard for you guys to hear. Sounds like one of my high school English teachers. I know it's hard for you guys to understand the voice because it's actually slower than my phone, but it's still pretty fast. So that is something I'll be working on, trying to find the to slow it down. Yeah, I don't know if the CBD thing is going to like I really think that CBD can work. Like I know that it's great for seizures for children who have seizures. They get CBD oil and it's very useful for if you don't want like if you want the pain killer but you don't want to be high. Um, it's very um, it is very useful. Um, yeah, it is a bit too fast. Yeah, I need to slow it down, maybe about 10%, maybe 15%. Not too slow, but yeah. Um, so yeah, I think it would be interesting, but they would probably charge a ridiculous amount per can or per bottle. Um, yeah, I've used CBD. A friend of mine had some and I tried it. They had CBD oil and it did take the pain away, but I do enjoy the THC as well. Um, I find weed works for me for pain relief, for anxiety relief, and for insomnia. That's the only thing that helps me sleep. Um, no, that's true, Skeptalk. CBD works. That's true, Zach. Schizophrenics can use CBD without the THC, and it can really help them. Coca-Cola is just making a sound business move. Um, CBD is the legal in some places, whereas THC is still banned by federal law. Once THC is legal, they will make the move to it as well. About to burn one anyway. Yeah. Um, so I was going to read one last story, but it's super sad, and I don't want to do a sad story. Um, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spend the last 20 minutes to half because we're gonna go till 11:30, and then I'm gonna go to watch the Kumite because I don't want to miss the Kumite. So, um, oh, okay, you've got some CBD strong pints in your backyard. That's cool. Um, so we'll spend the last half an hour just chatting with each other. If you guys have any questions, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, let me know. And I'm just going to mute real quick because my lighter is very loud, so I don't want to click it. So give me 30 seconds here. Sorry about that. It's one of those jet lighters that clicks. Kumite will be insane if we can believe the title Sargon has gone mad. Yeah. I found myself um, I don't know if I can watch any more of his videos anymore without taking anything he says seriously. Because I don't like I didn't really want to talk about this, but I do at the same time. Um, because I was a big fan of Sargon and Jim. Um, and this is just weird to watch. Like I really hope that this is just a troll that Sargon is like lost like gotten out of like um oh, thank you, Churchy, for the $5. Here's a few bucks. Keep up the hard work. Thank you so much, Churchy. That means a lot. Um, but yeah, I'm fans of both of them. Did you? I have to. Yeah, he did call Jim a liar. I have to still listen to his response to Teal Deer. I haven't done that yet. Um, but yeah, it's. I'm really but even at this point, if Sargon is trolling, I think that he's. I don't think he can pull off a troll like this. Um, I think he miscalculated if it's a troll. I don't know if it is. Um, if it's not, well, then he's just committed YouTube suicide, basically, because he's going to lose a lot of subs over this. Because there are crossover. No, Teal Deer doesn't make much sense. I respect the man for doing politics, but I can't watch this dumpster fire. Yeah, Aries, I think once he decided to do politics, he probably should have not continued on YouTube or just not decided not to do politics because I don't think you can do them both. Um, I think that um, if you can't be a shit well, you can try to be a shit like Dankula's doing it. Oh, yeah, I do take calls. I do Hangouts, Google Hangouts. And Fridays, I have um, Fridays I do have a guest spot. So if you ever want, like, I don't actually have like any particular, guest lined up for any particular day. So if I don't have a guest lined up, I can just do call-in show on Fridays. So yeah, I do. I can send people the Hangout link. Um, what was I gonna say? Yes, I do. I do have people on. Um, Sometimes I have Pincalo on uh, on other days than Friday. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, Churchy, you're right. Sargon came off as petty, and he broke the number one rule on the internet: do not feed the trolls. And Jim is a master troll, a virtuoso, if you will, and he will find his way to strike. That's exactly it, Churchy. Sargon, he fucked up on this one, um, because he didn't just do trolling. He did debunking. He did like he was trying to do other videos. Jim has always been a troll. He will always say that. He just like you don't Jim's a next level troll. So it's awesome, Aries. For sure. I love talking with people and having people on. So but yeah, it's a crazy time. I like I said, I don't know if Sargon's trolling or if he's serious, but either way, I think he miscalculated. Um, I really do. So today's Kumite is going to be super interesting. Um, yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Let's see. Yeah, Jim is what was you say, Chucky? Jim is good at what he does and doesn't take anything, including himself, too seriously. Sargon has an ego, yes. I may even watch Kumite today, and I never watched Kumite. Yeah. No, I enjoy the Kumite. I think I think it can be. There are some times when I don't watch, um, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting time indeed. um, Let me think here. What else can we talk about for the last 20 minutes? Um, if we can't think of anything, I may end a bit early. Um, so what was I going to say? Oh, if you guys have any, what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought. No, it's gone. Yeah, Tonka's good people. And I like when he does admit when he makes his mistakes. Um, and it's funny to watch him get angry. It's it's amusing, I think. Anyway, um, it's I think sometimes blood sports can get a bad name. It's just a bunch of people watching the internet version of Jerry Springer, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Humans like to watch train wrecks. Talk about the Jews. When will Canada elect a prime minister with a brain? I'm hoping next election. I'm hoping that a lot of people see what Trudeau is doing and are going, no, thank you. We don't want another term of that. The crappy part is that in Canada, um, there's no term limit. So a prime minister can be elected uh, as many times. Like Trudeau Sr. was prime minister 4 times. Yes, he had a break between number 2 and number 3. Um, but still, just one moment. But it's never. Uh, it's hard to tell because we have to see who runs, right? Um, and there may be we may have to have shitty choices again. The vampire PM could theoretically hold office forever. I like blood sports because it forces people to confront each other and what did it say? And solve their problems, just like the same with the Ralph retort at times. Yeah. So a vampire PM could theoretically hold office forever. Yes, he could. Yes, a vampire could totally hold office forever. But if they had good policies, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with a vampire holding office forever. If their policies were okay, I wouldn't mind. Yeah. Blood sports is fun when there's shit happening. Sometimes it's just silence to fill. Yeah. I need to read more about him, Costin. Um, I do find it interesting that he seems to not be as right wing as everyone is, as well as the mainstream is saying he is. Um, so I'll have to do more reading into Maxime Vernier, and see what his platform is. Um, the benign dictatorship is the best form of government. Yes, I may have to. I might just have to agree with that. You started watching the kill stream, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, um, the kill stream can be fun, especially when Ralph gets drunk and starts laughing and everything. Matt, no! Ugh, what a meme that is now. Love me a dictator. Yeah. Yeah, if you got a good dictator who cares about his people, that's I couldn't finish that sentence. I could not finish that sentence. Blind, no. Good one, Aries. Good one. Well, thanks for coming, Scap. It was great having you. Great having you in chat. Don't finish it laughing like it regrets. um, well, it's coming up on 11:20, so I think I'm gonna end it at 11:20 and grab something to eat because I'm hungry. If there's any last questions before we wrap it up, um, I will do one last minute plug. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. It means a lot, and I appreciate everyone coming and viewing. Share and like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let your friends know about this. If you're able or willing, the Streamlabs and Patreon are in the description. There's also a petition to Valve Corporation to make the Steam client more accessible. No problem, Costin. Thanks for coming. Oh, Hog Silk. It's okay. Don't worry about it. If you have Twitter, follow me on Twitter at Blind Press. Because I always put the link out before I go live. So that's the best way. My Twitter's in the description. It's at Blind Press. One word. Blind is capital and capital B, and press is capital P. Thank you too for coming, Churchy, and thanks for the donation again. That was really really awesome. Thanks, BP Oil. Love it. Glad you came, Aries. But yeah, if you're not getting notified, follow me on Twitter because I do always put out the link. Again, thank you so much for coming and watching. We'll see you on Wednesday at 10 for the coffee stream. Also, tune in on Sunday nights at 9:30 for the Blind and the Special. That's the stream that Pink Hollow and I do together. And what we do is we read some articles and / or play Sega Dreamcast, and / or rant about different things that we have seen or have happened. And it's just a grand old time. Last night we had a lot of fun. Oh, you're on the naughty list. Oh no, Hog Silk. Try unclicking the bell and re-clicking the bell. Pink Hollow has to do that a lot for his subscriptions. But yeah, so, and the 29th of September. Smash the like, peeps. This is not a Black Women ratio. Thanks, Churchy. Join me on the 29th of September at 10 Eastern. That's a Saturday, 10 Eastern PM, for another Star Trek stream where we review the pilot episode of Next Generation, Encounter at Farpoint. And with that, everyone, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I'm going to close out now, and we will see you on Wednesday for another coffee stream episode. Have a great day, guys. Take care.